So, let's talk about a video that was just made by Below the Fifth Column called Let's Talk About Egypt Withdrawing from a Peace Treaty with Israel. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit about my personal life, and we're going to go and talk a little bit about actions and consequences, alright? And the funny thing is, sometimes one singular decision that you make ends up going ahead and clarifying exactly everything that needs to be known. All right? So, there's been a lot of radicalization rhetoric. All right? And people trying to go ahead and extremize opinions, not understanding the amount of damage that ends up getting done, and how sometimes just calling out the right person one time ends up going ahead and changing all of the circumstances. All right? So, you know how the government had been trying to deny culpability when it came to my systematic oppression? Well, yeah. Not too long ago, within the past, I'd say, month and a half, I called out somebody directly. All right? Somebody whose job they ended up going ahead and choosing a career that they directly impacted people's finances directly. People that are on public assistance, took a position of public trust and was expecting to be able to weaponize their position and think that there would be no consequences for them going ahead and abusing their position of power. You know how that story goes. Well, needless to say, they thought because of the fact that they were hiding behind the guise of the internet that they wouldn't be found out and that there would be no repercussions. Well, needless to say, they got to learn that was wrong. All right? Because I didn't dox them. Okay? I did not say the entirety of their address. I did not call for any type of extreme action. The only thing that I did was I called out their street name. I called out the state that their street name is on. And one thing that they've gotten to learn with all of the escalation throughout decades is that if I'm going to go ahead and handle a situation, I'm going to handle it my damn self. Well, wouldn't you know it? After I did that, especially because of the fact that, understand, the blocking of somebody's specific aid, the blocking of somebody's mail, which, by the way, the blocking of somebody's mail is considered mail fraud. That right there alone could end up going ahead and putting them in prison for a decade, because that's a federal crime. The systematic oppression one, yeah, that's a hate crime. So they don't want to end up getting fired from the job that they have with the blemish of automatically when they, have a background check pulled up on them, having a hate crime be the first thing that potential employers end up going ahead and seeing. So, wouldn't you know that? Apparently that issue that there's been going on when it comes to my, my check, magically it's getting fixed. If we were going to go ahead and, boil it down and, use the metaphor of it's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye, or play stupid games, win stupid prizes, it would sound like me calling out their address and making it clear, hey, you know, despite the factor that you want to hide behind a keyboard and hide behind distance, to think that there would be no consequences for your actions and your intentional constant provocation over decades, that you're free and clear. It would seem like I sunk their battleship. All right? Now, here's the thing. Bo ended up saying the factor that, automatically, because of the fact that there was no agreement to peace, that means that escalation further would be a bad idea. Now, here's the thing. I've done everything that I can to choose diplomacy. I've done everything that I can to de-escalate. I have done everything that I potentially can to go ahead and try to figure out a solution. Well, all of the odds were against me. All right? And trying to choose a peaceful, non-violent path. Well, at every turn, somebody had been trying from a distance to do what they could to muddy the waters enough to try to make that a Herculean and if not impossible feat. Now, here's the thing. Unless you have gotten to learn on your own with how far that you've been pushed, exactly the lengths that you would be comfortable going to go ahead and, end the constant antagonization, because of constantly having the perception of, clearly they're fucking weak. Clearly, they're down and out. Clearly there's something that they could do, there's no way that they could potentially retaliate after everything that I did. Now, the question you need to ask yourself for anybody that escalates to that point is, what would be the equivalent response for everything that I have done to wrong a person and to salt the wound for them to effectively retaliate? All right? Especially when that person did everything that they could to just keep it up to debating rather than, going ahead and retaliating with physical retaliation. Now, imagine trying to de-escalate a situation that could automatically lead to fatality levels. All right? And you were wronged in every which way, shape, and form possible. All right? How far could somebody go to go ahead and make sure that that person that wanted to cross those lines end up being so big and be made so much of an example that nobody will ever cross that fucking line again? Now, you need to think of what's within the realm of physical capability. All right? Now, the funny thing is, well, I've had people go ahead and, doubt with the points that I've made as far as the wrongs of Christianity. Wanted to automatically put that with the equivalent of lacking morality. All right? Now, the point that I had been making for the longest time is Christianity has absolutely been one of the most harmful and detrimental philosophical viewpoints that society has ever known. All right? Now, I've clarified about the unethical tactics used by religious sects, cults, and, religious founded non-profit organizations. And there have been a lot of people that have gotten mad at me for that, because obviously, how dare you go ahead and, shame my ideological belief. I believe that because this is something that I believe in, that automatically that means that I am better and, more moral of a person than somebody who recognizes the immorality that have been committed by such organizations. There was just an incident. And by the way, it's an incident that I had actually predicted a year ago, but no one wanted to give me credit for it. But now that it happened, there are going to be people that go ahead and try to correlate the factor that it happened with what I've been saying. Alright? There was a shooting at Joel Osteen's church. Now, for anybody that's wanting to go ahead and try to act like I in some way, shape, form had anything to do with that, no, I didn't. Alright? I have pointed out the unethical means that the Osteen family have used to go ahead and gain their ill-gotten gains. Alright? Now, that right there, I don't understand why society would make that as a difficult thing to perceive. Alright? But ultimately, there is going to be somebody that tries to tie that incident with things that I have pointed out. Being somebody that has been specifically wronged by a religious organization. And let me tell you, no. That event had nothing to do with anything that I've said. It has nothing to do with any of my opinions or anything like that. What it's had to do with is the factor of Joel Osteen being one of the culprits. If anything, the specific culprit in an instance where there was a family member of somebody that their family member used to go ahead and watch his, his broadcast. Well, needless to say, because of the way that his organization, as well as televised, mega church, structured, religious groups have gone ahead and tried to capitalize, they have offered blanket absolvement for moral wrongdoing. Alright? Public chastising for what could be perceived as speaking out or speaking against the organizations that they stand for or represent. Alright? They've also, in the process of offering that blanket absolvement, have basically made people think that, if they gave financial restitutions and, tithing, that automatically, that means that regardless of what they do, that guarantees them entrance into the paradise that, they ended up identifying that they were going to get into. What, post-mortem. That thinking is dangerous. Alright? So, that being said, this is just part one. Understand, when organizations like that get too much power, there are events that end up happening like, people thinking, I'm going to let it all out. I'm still going to get into heaven anyway.